Hi, I'm Rick Bloodworth. This is the Common Sense Christian channel, and today I want to talk about our kids. I'll start with the passage in Mark chapter 9, and it begins in verse 36. And Jesus is the one who's about to be talking. It says, He took a little child and had him stand among them. Taking him in his arms, he said to them, Whoever welcomes one of these little children in my name welcomes me. And whoever welcomes me welcomes not me, but the one who sent me. Well, think about that for a moment. Think about how important children are to Christ and to God. They're so important that when we welcome them, in God's eyes, in Christ's eyes, we're welcoming them. And so the way we treat our children becomes very important. I've had the privilege of working with kids, I guess nearly all of my adult life. I've worked with youth groups for quite a number of years, I guess a little over 40 of them. But I've also worked with little children, probably for, I guess nearly 35 years now, by coaching them, usually in basketball. I've coached baseball as well and some other things, but usually basketball. And really, the younger the age that I get to work with, the more enjoyable I have found them to be to work with. And a big part of that is because there's a joy to their lives that they cannot contain. Well, last Friday night, we took a group of about 38 of these kids. They're called the Happy Champions, and they just learn basketball skills. These kids range in age from, probably 5 years old to about 10 or 11 years old. And they came out at halftime of our basketball game against our biggest competition, the Nazareth Swifts. And for those of you who are not familiar with Nazareth, Texas, I think their girls basketball program has won more state championships than any other girls basketball program in America, and their boys are not far behind them. So it's an excellent level of competition. And so here we are playing our big rival on Friday night. The girls have already played. The boys are now at halftime. I think the game is separated by 2 points, and then the kids come out. And we start off with our second through fourth graders, and they come out running to loud music, and the crowd on both sides, by the way, just cheer wildly. Now this is interesting because Happy and Nazareth, I think, are separated by just about 25 miles. And though we're neighbors, sometimes our competition, our competitive spirits kind of get the better of us. And we don't always remember we're neighbors during the game. But during the halftime performance, when the kids come out, well, we remember. And it was just really encouraging to see both sides, Happy and Nazareth, just up on their feet, just cheering for these little kids. And they get out and they start their dribbling routine and they show off their basketball skills, which they've just acquired in the last few weeks. And then they run together in the middle and they holler their champion yell and they go off the court. But in the meantime, our kindergarten and first graders have drifted out onto the court. And so when the first group, the big kids, leave, what we have left now is our 5 and 6 year olds. And some of them, the basketball comes up to about their knee. So you can imagine what the performance is going to look like, especially when they're showing off their skills of trying to dribble in between their legs and around their back. Sometimes it's somewhat of a challenge for them, but they do their best and they do well. And it doesn't matter if they lose their basketball 100 times, that crowd just roars its approval. Well, I love this part of small communities. I know big towns have certain advantages that they enjoy, but I think what small communities sometimes enjoy is an affection for one another because they know everybody, or just about everybody. If they don't know these little kids, well, they know their brothers and sisters, or they know their parents, or they know their grandparents. They know their people. And so when they see them out there, they really want to encourage them. And it's not so much that basketball means so much to us, although of course it does. But in this instance, it's that we love them. And so the cheering is not just for the dribbling skills that they show off. It's because we have an absolute love for these kids. We want them to do well. And anytime that they're truly trying hard and that they've accomplished something, then we want to give them our approval and our encouragement and our support. Now, I have to tell you that small towns, at least the ones I've been associated with, aren't much for participation medals and for awards for just showing up. There's more of an expectation of excellence. And while we don't always achieve that excellence with our kids, when they're trying to be excellent, well, there is a tremendous amount of approval for that and encouragement. And you could see that on the kids' faces when they go out there, very nervous. But then when they come together at the end for their champion cry and they hear the crowd roaring for them, both sides, well, you can see the smiles on their faces. You can see the sense of accomplishment that they feel. And I think that's important. And again, I don't think it's so important because they've acquired some skill in whatever area that we're cheering for them in. I think it's just important that they're trying to do something worthwhile. They're trying to achieve a standard of excellence in some part of their life. And I think we adults really need to show appreciation when we see that. More than anything, though, I think we need to show it in their lives, in their spiritual journey. As we're training up these kids and we're teaching them about God, and we teach them that before the meals we are thankful to God for our food. And then when we tuck them into bed at night, we read them either stories from the Bible or from a Bible storybook, and they learn about all these important Bible people through time, and they learn about Jesus, and they learn about God. I think this is where we have our most significant impact. As a matter of fact, I know it is. And so, when we welcome these little children in this way, and we don't just welcome them for the sake of welcoming, but we're welcoming them into God's service, essentially. Because what we're doing is we're training them up to be servants of God, to be servants of Christ, if you will. And this is what God and this is what Christ want of us who are older. And as we see these things, as we have the opportunity to express our support for them, it's these little touches that I think mean so much. I've preached for quite a number of years, and now that I'm not preaching, I still worship on a regular on a regular basis. And one of the things that I really enjoy is seeing these little kids come up to the building. It's interesting to watch them come in because so many of them are just skipping in their excitement to get there. They've got big smiles on their face to come to church. Well, they're not coming to church, are they? They're coming to the church to have Bible class and to have worship and to be around adults who are trying to worship God in the right way and who are trying to live in the right way, even though we fail a lot. But these little kids, we try and show this love and affection to and support in every area of their life. And when we can do it, when we're talking about that area of their life that involves their relationship with God, well, then I think we've done something very significant. And I think maybe in a small way, we have fulfilled what Christ was wanting us to do, to welcome a little child in His name. And I think that is really, in a nutshell, why we need to make sure that we're attentive to these little ones and do our best to influence them well for Christ and for God. And we can have a lot of fun along the way, whether it's a basketball performance or their pageants that they have at school, or the praise we give them when they bring home a good report card, or whatever it is. We try to encourage them in the good characteristics that they need to become good adults and worthwhile servants of God. I love last Friday night. I love seeing the parents with their little children, bringing them there and being proud of something that they've accomplished, not in a bad way, but in a good and wholesome way. I love seeing the adults that work with these little kids and the concern they have for them and the joy they share with them. I watched these little kids' principal at the elementary school make sure that they were led over from the gymnasium at the elementary school to the high school gym across the street on a very cold night, and to make sure that they were taken care of and that they were safe all the way over. And then she watches over them the entire time as well, from a distance, but you can tell. And we've got all these people who are looking after these kids and who are loving these kids and who are giving these kids, I believe, what they need. They are welcoming them in many ways in the name of Christ. And when we do that, we're not only welcoming these children that we love so, but we're also welcoming Christ, and not just Christ, but the one who sent him, God. Now that's something worthwhile. Well, I thought I would share that with you. This is just something I've had on my mind ever since last Friday night, and I got to enjoy that experience. I thought I'd pass some of it along to you and pass along why I think it's so important for events like this. But I appreciate your watching. If you have comments, please share those in the comments section. I always enjoy reading what you think about these things. But thank you so much for taking the time to watch today. I hope that we'll see you again next time. And until then, I pray that God will bless you richly as you seek to serve him to the very best of your ability, including in the way that you welcome these little children who belong to Christ. Thanks for watching. God bless.